They hired me to shoot a wedding. That's how it started. Simple. Contract signed. Deposit cleared. Nothing about it was supposed to get under my skin. But then Lyndon Rowe walked into the room, and everything I thought I knew about professionalism slipped through the shutter. He wasn't the groom. He was the groom's best man. Tall, quietly magnetic, dressed in raw silk and shadow. His laughter had teeth. His smile held back something darker. Something that made my gut clench the second I focused my lens on him. He looked at me once while tying his cufflinks in the groom's sweet mirror. Not directly. Not long. But it was enough. I saw it. The flicker. And I caught it on camera. Before we go further, do yourself a favor, pause and tap that red heart-like button, smash subscribe, and drop a comment letting us know where you're watching or reading from. This story, it's about to curl its way under your skin. Don't be the one who felt it all, but didn't leave a trace behind. You'll feel the regret later. Just a click. You know what to do. Let's get back to Lyndon. He wasn't loud. Not the center of attention type. But the groom, Caleb, revolved around him. Whenever Caleb wasn't sure what to say to his bride, he glanced at Lyndon. When the rings were passed, he handed them off like he'd done it before. With practice. With weight. He wasn't faking anything. But he was hiding something. During the vows, I caught him looking at the groom. During the toast, he avoided my camera. During the first dance, he watched from the shadows, glass in hand, jaw locked, watching them sway to a jazz cover of Can't Help Falling in Love. He smiled like it hurt. That night, when the guests had gone, and I was reviewing footage in the quiet venue suite, I noticed it. A moment the guests didn't see. A look between Caleb and Lyndon just before the kiss. Too long. Too telling. And then, just behind the lens, Lyndon looked straight into the camera. Not accidental. It was like he knew I saw it. He knocked on my hotel door just past midnight. I hadn't told anyone what room I was in. You left your flash card behind, he said, holding it between two fingers. Didn't want you losing anything important. His voice was deep. Measured. Tired. I let him in. He walked slow. Looked around like he was checking for surveillance. Then he closed the door and said quietly, "What did you see?" I didn't lie. I saw the way you looked at him. And I saw the way he didn't look away. He nodded once. No panic. No denial. Just something breaking behind the eyes. Good, he said. Because you should know exactly what you're filming next. He kissed me like he was drowning, and I was air. No hesitation. No warm-up. His mouth found mine and devoured it. Teeth. Tongue. Need. His hands tangled in my shirt. Tore it. Dragged me backward until my knees hit the mattress. You want to know what that footage meant? He growled. I'll give you something real to capture. He pressed me down. Kissed from my jaw to my chest, his breath stuttering. He unzipped me slow, eyes burning into mine. Tell me to stop, he whispered. I'd rather die, I said. And then I felt his mouth. Wet heat. Tongue and lips wrapped around me, slowly working me until I couldn't think. Couldn't move. He moaned when I thrust deeper, like he wanted to choke on me. Like it turned him on. When he finally let me out of his mouth, I was trembling. You don't know how long I've wanted this, he said. Since the wedding? Since long before. He stripped. Pale skin. Defined lines. A tattoo in cursive script along his ribs that read, "Only in the dark can you burn bright." He slicked his fingers, reached behind me. Let me, I whispered. He let me. I opened him slow, one finger, then two, then three, until he gasped and said, "Now, please." And when I entered him, he broke. His back arched. His breath caught. And I moved, slow at first, building into something hard, hungry, unforgettable. He took all of me, crying out with each thrust, gripping the sheets like he needed the world to hold still. I see you, I whispered. He looked up at me, eyes glassy. You're not just the best man, I said. You're the truth he couldn't live with. We fell asleep tangled. Sweat. Cum. Wrinkled sheets. He left before dawn. Said nothing. Just one kiss at the door and, keep the footage. When I checked my camera the next day, something else was there. A video I didn't shoot. It was a recording from the groom's phone. A confession. I love him, Caleb had said, pacing his hotel room. But I don't know how to leave her. Not now. Not like this. The camera shifted, revealing Lyndon. I don't need you to leave her. I need you to be honest. And Caleb, then I lose everything. I delivered the wedding footage. Every expected moment. Every safe smile. But tucked at the end, just before the closing credits, I included a 30-second cut. A slow-motion clip of Lyndon walking by the altar, barefoot, shirt untucked, after the ceremony. Caleb looking after him. Toes curled. Mouth twitching. And my caption, in small white font. The camera catches what the heart can't say. 3 weeks later, I was shooting a vineyard proposal in Oregon when I heard a voice behind me. You left something out of the final cut, Lyndon said. I turned. He looked different. Calmer. Worn. What's that? I asked. He smiled. The part where I never stopped thinking about you. I dropped my camera. He caught it, and me. We checked into a coastal cabin, just us. Fog outside. Fire inside. He undressed slow. Let me take pictures this time. Of his fingers wrapped around my wrist. Of the curve of his throat when he moaned. Of his body beneath mine as I entered him again. This time with no rush, just rhythm. I whispered his name into his mouth as he came. And when I followed, spilling deep inside him, he held my face and whispered, You were always the truth. Not the footage. You. We stayed in that cabin for 3 days. 3 days of whispered confessions and skin against skin. 3 days of me learning the sounds he made when I kissed the hollow of his throat, the way his breath caught when I traced the line of his spine with my tongue. The first night, after we'd made love again with desperate hunger, I watched him sleep. His face relaxed, lips slightly parted, dark lashes casting shadows on his cheekbones. I wanted to reach for my camera, but some moments were too sacred to capture. Some moments were meant to be lived, not recorded. I can feel you watching me, he murmured without opening his eyes. Sorry. Occupational hazard. He rolled over, pressing his body against mine. Don't apologize. I like being seen by you. Really seen. His hand found my chest, palm flat against my heartbeat. I never thought I'd be brave enough for this. For what? For you. For wanting someone the way I want you. His eyes opened, meeting mine in the dim light. I was so scared of what people would think, what it would mean. But with you, none of that matters. I kissed his forehead, breathing in the scent of his skin. You don't have to be scared anymore. The second day, we barely left the bed. I mapped every inch of his body with my mouth, memorizing the taste of his skin, the way he trembled when I sucked marks into his throat. He was responsive, vocal, unashamed of the sounds he made when I took him apart piece by piece. I love watching you, I told him as he straddled me, moving slowly, deliberately. The way you look when you're lost in pleasure. His head fell back, exposing the long line of his neck. Then keep watching, he gasped. Don't look away. I didn't. I watched him ride me, watched the flush spread across his chest, watched his face contort with pleasure as he came undone above me. When he collapsed against me afterward, spent and breathing hard, I held him close and whispered promises into his hair. On the last morning, I woke to find him sitting by the window, watching the fog roll in from the ocean. The light caught his profile, the same one I'd watched through my lens at the wedding, the same one that had haunted my dreams. What happens now? I asked, pulling on my jeans. He turned to me, and for the first time since I'd known him, his eyes held no uncertainty. Now we stop pretending this isn't real. What about? There is no what about, he said, standing and crossing to me. There's just this. Us. The way you look at me like I'm something worth capturing. I cupped his face, thumb tracing his cheekbone. You are. You always have been. He kissed me then, soft and sure, tasting like morning coffee and promises. When we finally left the cabin, I drove him back to the city. His hand stayed on my thigh the entire drive, thumb rubbing gentle circles that made it hard to concentrate on the road. We talked about everything and nothing, his job at the art gallery, my upcoming projects, the books we'd both read but never discussed. I have a confession, he said as we passed through a small coastal town. What's that? I've been following your work for years, long before Caleb's wedding. I had your website bookmarked, watched every film you posted. I glanced at him, surprised. You never said anything. I was too much of a coward. But I'd see these beautiful moments you captured, couples in love, families celebrating, and I'd think about what it would be like to be on the other side of your camera. Move in with me. I said suddenly as we pulled into his driveway. What? Move in with me, I repeated, turning to face him. I'm serious. I've wasted enough time pretending I could want anyone else. I want to wake up next to you. I want to watch you edit footage at 2 a.m. I want to be the subject of your camera and your heart. He stared at me for a long moment, then broke into that crooked smile that had first caught my attention. Okay. The transition was easier than I'd expected. Lyndon fit into my life like he'd always belonged there. He'd make coffee in the morning while I reviewed footage from the night before. He'd curl up next to me on the couch while I edited, offering quiet commentary or simply existing in comfortable silence. The sex was incredible, urgent and tender by turns, filled with whispered endearments and breathless laughter. He was uninhibited in a way that took my breath away, completely present in every moment we shared. But it was the quiet moments that undid me. The way he'd trace patterns on my chest as we lay in bed talking about our days. The way he'd bring me lunch when I was buried in a project, setting it down with a kiss to the top of my head. The way he'd look at me across a crowded room like I was the only person worth seeing. 3 months after he moved in, I was editing a corporate video when I felt his arms slide around my shoulders from behind. How's it going? He asked, pressing a kiss to my neck. Almost done. Just need to adjust the color balance on this last segment. He watched me work for a moment, then said quietly, I love watching you create. You get this intense look, like the rest of the world disappears. I leaned back against him. Sometimes it does. But not when you're here. Good, he murmured against my ear. I like being your anchor to reality. 6 months later, I was editing a film about us. Not for clients or contracts, but for ourselves. Moments stolen between assignments. Lyndon making coffee in our kitchen, now our kitchen. His hands in my hair as we watched movies. The way he arched beneath me, calling my name like a prayer. The footage was intimate, honest, a testament to the love we'd built together. I included shots of him laughing at something I'd said off camera, of his hands as he painted in the spare room he'd claimed as his studio, of the way he looked at me when he thought I wasn't watching. But my favorite shot was the simplest one. Lyndon asleep in our bed, morning light streaming across his face, completely at peace. The caption read, Some stories don't need endings. They just need someone brave enough to keep filming. When I showed it to him, he cried. It's beautiful, he whispered, pulling me into his arms. We're beautiful. We are, I agreed, and for the first time in my life, I truly believed it.